wasn't the only weird part of the night, and it I think it's even weirder post game. But the first possible hit of the game, Lewis Robert was back in the leadoff spot, and he hits a bit of a slow grounder to third, and is going full speed at first, and then sort of pulls up in the end. And if he had just run through the base, it would have been a leadoff single.
Now, I heard a chorus of boos that have been replayed over and over again since that.
There is a chorus of boos.
I wanted to ask you, maybe this is my asshole question for the week. Were you one of those people booing Luis Robert Jr. at that moment?
I did not boo him at that moment, but I did. I believe I uttered the words, "What the fuck?"
Because I have seen you get emotional at these ball games before. In fact, we need to back up to Friday when you were upset with a call that I think it was didn't Ray's pitcher hit somebody else later in the game, and there's no ejection. So you actually went down the stairs to the fence right behind home plate and started yelling. I don't think you were swearing necessarily. I couldn't hear what you were saying because it was a bit away, but I found that amusing that you felt the need to run down there to express your opinion.
I did not like that
No, you did not. So I didn't know if those emotions got the best of you once again, and you were participating in the booing of Luis Robert Jr.
I did not overreact. I don't know if it's necessarily an overreaction, because it was obvious that he for some reason just pulled up. But then I got nervous that, of course, he was injured.
Yeah.
But then he comes back out and he plays the next inning in the field.
Yeah.
The top of the second, but then is removed for the game for his next at bat and replaced by Oscar Colas. The report and everyone, he got pulled for loafing it. And he was pulled for loafing it. But then the story adds you get some complexity in the post game that Luis Robert's hamstring was sore. This is his story. That his hamstring was sore, and he didn't tell the coaches because he wanted to play in the game. And he thought he should reserve. It's a very complex answer. And something along the lines of I was going to make sure I was, able to go more fuller speed towards the end of the game and try to reserve myself during the first half of the game. And I let only.
I mean, this just sounds like a kid getting caught in a lie and digging deeper and deeper and deeper.
Exactly. He said something along the lines of only Eloy. He only said something to Eloy and someone else, and I never heard.
Yeah, it was Eloy and Elvis Andrews.
Elvis
Andrews is supposed to be your veteran leader on the team now. Who, if he had known about that, I don't know how he couldn't have gone himself over to your manager and told him what was going on. But
yes, it seemed that
these are just
he was embarrassed, and instead of just being like, "Yeah, I screwed up."
Yeah.
Maybe his hamstring, maybe it is a little sore or something. I don't know. I mean, would that be surprising?
Well, that's the other part. That's not surprising. That wouldn't be surprising at all. So it's a very plausible lie, but he just did a poor job of telling it.
Yeah.
Part of that whole exchange was he forgot who your bench coach was. He was asking the interpreter who Charlie Montoya was. Like, his name completely escaped his mind. Like, that just brought me to remember the Chuck Garfine's post-game show, which I've actually sampled. That's going to be at the beginning of this show. What are we doing here?
Yeah,
what are we doing here?
I mean, his
name is Charlie Montoya.
You may have heard of him. He was a manager.
I mean, Chuck, I've riffed on Chuck a lot over the years with that. He was truly a fan, an exasperated fan. He was very legitimately frustrated. He expressed that so perfectly. He was pounding on the desk at one point. He was like, I think they came back from commercial, and he was standing next to the desk. He couldn't even sit in his chair. So it's just a frustrating but brilliantly covered moment. He could barely continue the segment. Fortunately, Bacon picked up for him, because I think he realized he was gonna start swearing or something. Bacon had to say something to make sure Garfien didn't have a complete meltdown. But yeah, that's a segment to check out if you can find that on YouTube or on Twitter. But it's just more symptomatic of nobody really knows what happened. It's just the confusion between injury and continuation of they were told not to try hard at one point, at many points last year, for fear of injury. That was a huge story. So you kind of can't blame Robert if that's what he was thinking. I can only give it 75, 80% because they want me to stay healthy and I haven't been healthy. So it's just a continuation, it feels like, of the same confusing mixed messaging, or at least the fans and the media are not allowed to have all the information. There's there's always some kind of confusion with these issues with the White Sox, and it doesn't seem a whole lot different with Grifol, even though we were told he's one of his biggest characteristics that got him the job is he's such an excellent communicator. And obviously his first language is Spanish. So you'd think he would have a very open line of communication with everyone on the team. And it doesn't seem to have been the case, at least in this specific example.
Well, he flat out asked him on the bench if he was okay after he didn't finish running out, and Lewis Robert told him he was fine.
Yeah,
so
that's a problem.
What I will tell you though is I respect Pedro Grifol for pulling him.
Yeah,
like that.
Yeah, he had to. I mean,
but that's like unheard. Like, no way. Fuckstick LaRussa would have done that last year. There's no way.
He was trying to be their buddy. That's what he told everybody as he started his second Sox regime. He was not going to be the authoritarian that he had always been, and that was probably his biggest mistake.
And this kind of what you were touching on about sort of unlearning the bad habits of last year goes back to what you and I were talking about at the game, that how Przinsky was interviewing Lance Lynn and he was expressing his concern. He's like, I'm an ex-White Sox. Like, what's going on over there? He's like, man, like, you got guys trying to get out of some really bad habits of
like being deprogrammed or something.
Yeah,
like
exactly.
From the previous 2 years experience.
That's exactly what he didn't say deprogrammed, but you're 100% accurate. That's probably a more eloquent way to put it, or more accurate way to even put it. Like, it's like Robert thinking, and this isn't an excuse for him because that's not what they're teaching there right now. So, these are adults, but whatever.
I could just see how they could have how Robert could possibly be confused by the messaging over the last couple of years. But at the same time, it feels like there's a little bit of childishness and kind of got caught in the lie. So it's just ambiguous. Hard to know what the real truth is, but I think we pieced most of it together. But
yeah,
just another strange chapter.
And he, so I'm sure he'll be starting tomorrow night. So I don't think we have anything to worry about.
Okay.
From an injury standpoint.
Yeah. Hopefully that hamstring holds together.
Word Hole Media.